Hello and welcome. Now we're going to dive into DEM, Digital Experience Monitoring. DEM has been a critical component for organizations for the last few years. So what is driving DEM? The way we work today and the way we access and consume applications are the biggest factors challenging IT organizations to achieve optimal business experience. Majority of organizations, 84%, are hybrid, meaning they have users that work from the office and outside the office during the week. Also, the percentage of companies increasing to 85% this year who will use the public cloud and consume applications as a service. And the majority of organizations, over 90%, have adopted already on their journey for a digital-first strategy. So the combination of these things has created an explosion of edges where users are working from anywhere, accessing distributed applications. This has created a major challenge for IT teams as they are unable to have a complete end-to-end visibility to help them in understanding how the network is performing and where the issues are coming from and how to optimize user experience. And with the existing tools that they have in place tend to be distributed, they are not getting a complete painted picture, and all of this has created a gap in performance and security experience between IT teams and users. Now, having a natively integrated DEM with SASE will help IT teams to cut down on tool sprawl and eliminate silos. No additional hardware or software to install or manage. All is done from the same UI that makes the job of IT teams more efficient. That allows them to optimize hybrid worker experience by proactively identifying and resolving issues faster troubleshooting of issues by quickly pinpointing where is the issue coming from, and is it the endpoint, is it the application, or is it the network? Also, it allows IT teams to set and meet SLA experience by region or user groups. Now, let's see conceptually how DEM works. DEM monitors the entire infrastructure that includes the network, endpoints, users, applications, private and public, and synthetic transactions. As it collects telemetry across the entire infrastructure and gives timely visibility, it correlates and triages these data points and notifies IT teams when there is an issue through alerts. This allows IT teams to respond and remediate the issues quickly, and FortiAI can be leveraged in the process to accelerate the response. We'll see more of FortiAI in the next session. Now, let's dive a little bit into how this works. We have users on the far left who could be working from anywhere, home or office, accessing applications on the far right that can be in the public cloud, private cloud, or consumed as a service. As the traffic traverses the user's environment, the service provider network, the SASE pops for inspection, then hitting the applications, DEM is observing and monitoring the health of endpoints, network, and applications. It then correlates and triages these metrics and incidents that notifies IT teams and allows them to take actions. On the endpoint side, we check for resource utilizations on the CPU and memory, and also we check for Wi-Fi signal strength and utilized bandwidth. We can run synthetic transaction monitoring to model the experience of endpoint from different vantage points. These metrics provide much greater visibility, especially into the performance of home and remote user branch users. We also monitor network metrics like latency, jitter, packet loss, and MOS score. And on the application side, we measure for DNS lookup time, HTTPS GET, time to first and last byte, handshake time for both TCP and SSL TLS connections. So once all these metrics and incidents are monitored and correlated, IT teams are presented with a dashboard, visualizations, and reports, allowing them to take a precise action. Here we provide proactive visual application monitoring for both private and SaaS applications. For private applications, we can monitor the secure private access links between the SASE POPs and the hubs, where the applications are hosted behind them from, through the SD-WAN integration, We can trigger a fast failover between the links to meet the SLA requirements set in place. SaaS applications are monitored as well. A quick summary that shows application availability score, number of critical incidents over a period of time, as well as number of warning incidents over a period of time. We show this on a per-user basis that can be correlated across a group of users to see how that user experience compared to the other groups. That helps IT to identify any potential issues. IT teams will have a number of views that can help them to monitor network performance end-to-end to make operations simpler and easier. Here we can get hop-by-hop visibility, allowing IT teams to trace the user journey with precision and insights, indicating where the potential issues need to be tackled. This path control provides insights to IT teams from the source, or the endpoint, all the way to the destination where to start troubleshooting. With heat map view, IT teams have full insights into endpoints health that allows them to take quick actions. I can have regional view of my endpoints health to simplify monitoring. Another view that can be helpful for IT teams is historical stats. It allows them to visualize the past to predict and prevent future issues. So what can businesses expect from a natively integrated DEM into a unified SASE solution? For one, there is no hardware or software to install and manage. So this helps them to resolve issues faster as IT teams have real-time insights into the entire infrastructure, as well as users and applications. And by bridging the gap between users and infrastructure experience, IT teams can really ensure users stay productive. And by moving from reactive to proactive IT operations with automatic detection and correlation of different incidents and data points, IT organizations become more efficient in their operations. Now let's move into a demo showing them in action.
Hello there, and welcome to this session on DEM demo. First of all, thank you so much, Rami, for giving us an overview on DEM, digital experience monitoring, and how that relates to the feature set we provide natively within our Fortinet's unified SASE offering. My name is Ramnath, and I'm Director of Products and Solutions here responsible for SASE. And today we'll be going more deeper into that DEM feature, and I'll be showing you some real-life scenarios around the user or the employee Peter that you saw in Jordan's demo. So within Jordan's demo, you saw a sneak peek on DEM as a feature, but that aligned with FortiAI. In this demo, I'll be showing more into the FortiSASE console and show you how an admin will troubleshoot some of the real-life scenarios. DEM is very important, as Rami covered, right? Two key things is what DEM really emphasizes on. One is how you can provide a better performance for the end employees when they're trying to access either SaaS apps, private apps, or just to the internet. Along with that, you need to know what kind of performance they're getting. Because if they don't get good performance when they try to access applications, more and so them being remote now, it's very important to really know where that gap is from an issue perspective if something happens. I raise my hand whenever there's a problem that happens on my laptop or I'm finding slowness trying to connect to an application. First thing I would do is I would go in and either reboot my router or I would go and restart my laptop, right, if nothing is working out. But think about this, if all of these things you do and still you're finding slowness accessing some applications where the problem is, that's where finding the probable needle in the haystack is something that DEM will help for all of those IT admins who are managing their SASE infrastructure. With that, let me dive deeper into the demo and go into our FortiSASE console and show where we show DEM within the FortiSASE environment, as well as the three different scenarios that I mentioned before. So let's hop into our FortiSASE console. So here, as you see, I've logged into my FortiSASE console, and this will be what you would be looking at as you log in for the first time. You will be greeted with all the different widgets, which is highly customizable. And one of those widgets is your digital experience monitoring, which is the DEM feature. And this is where we are polling from each and every one of our SASE POPs to those SaaS applications, as well as custom applications if you have them. And for those applications, we are able to provide holistic details such as jitter, latency, packet loss, MOS score, HTTPS response, TCP connect, DNS response, time to last byte, as well as availability. So a lot of details for you to understand how really the user's experience would be when they're trying to access specific SaaS applications from the POC perspective. So that gives you a good granular detail to dive deeper if need be, if you're trying to troubleshoot a problem. The next screen that's really important is when I go into operations, we do have a dedicated DEM tab. So this is the digital experience monitoring tab that you see here. And we have a breakdown of different categories. So you can have SaaS monitoring, you can have SPA, Secure Private Access Hub monitoring, or Secure Private Access Application monitoring. So let's take scenario one. So scenario one is going back to the same employee that Jordan mentioned, who is Peter. Yes, Peter is a new employee, new hire. He has access to the HR portal, as you saw right now. But as Peter is trying to go and access SaaS applications such as Office 365, which his organization uses heavily, he is finding slowness. On top of that, the slowness is there, but he's also finding intermittent slowness. That means that sometimes he's getting good access, sometimes he's not able to access at all. The biggest challenge for any IT admin is to troubleshoot slowness within the network. It's very easy to troubleshoot if something is hard down, but if something is flaky, something is flapping, or something is on and off multiple times, it becomes really difficult. So let's say as an admin, if let's say I am a security admin, I'm the IT admin of this organization that Peter is employed at, how would I go and look at that problem? So the first thing that usually you would do is you'd go into the SaaS monitoring, look at the health events, and this would be the health events that would be shown for all the different SaaS applications. Since I don't see anything around Office, so I would suspect this is something to do with Peter's device or something to do for the Peter's connection from his device to the SaaS application. So let's check that as well. So in order to check that, I would go into the endpoints. And this is at Peter's device that I can see as an admin remotely. So I would click on Peter's device. I would get all the information. So he looks to be online. And then I can see all the install applications, as well as I can look at the FortiClient version that's running. So this is our SASE agent that runs on Peter's device, which is his laptop. So I can see all the details around the vulnerability scan, whether anti-ransomware is installed, whether AV is installed. So all those details are part of this because our endpoint agent also includes baked-in EPP, endpoint protection feature sets. As I go into digital experience, which has its own tab here, you can see a lot of data. So when I go into generate traceroute, this is where we can get hop-by-hop metrics. Hop-by-hop metrics from the user to the application, and then you can dive deeper and understand where the problem is within that hop. So if it's slow, you would see a higher latency. You would see a higher jitter. You might see some packet loss if some packets are getting dropped. So what I've done here is I've already simulated a scenario for this Peter's endpoint connecting to Microsoft 365, and we can look at different hops over here. So when I click on path diagram, I can see that these are the different hops. This is Peter here, and this is the office.com that he's trying to access. And what I can do here is I could also go in and filter by the average RTT, or I could also filter by the average packet loss. So here I'm filtering by average RTT greater than 60 milliseconds. And the next one is the average packet loss greater than 50%. So here you can see we can color code and we can see visually where the problem could be. So all of these hops that you see here is having a high latency impact. So the average RTT is pretty high, and even the packet loss is pretty high, which you can see here is 66.67%. Now you might say, what's the value here, Ramnath? The value here is that either you could go back to your ISP and tell them that you're not providing me with a proper SLA, because you see packet loss, you see jitter, you see latency in this hops. B, if it's a SaaS provider that the traffic is going into, you can go in and call that SaaS provider. In this case, it's Microsoft 365. So you can call in Microsoft and tell them, hey, Microsoft, I'm trying to access Office, and I see an issue with this IP here. So you get visibility into the IP that Microsoft is using, which you never got before. So you can tell them, and that really helps Microsoft too, because then they also will have a way to troubleshoot quicker and solve your problem sooner, rather than them taking a lot of time to troubleshoot and know where the problem is within their environment or their network. So here you see different hops, But you also see that the server that we are trying to access is slow because it has a high average RTT, it has a high average packet loss. So in a way, they would know, okay, 13.107.6.156 is that troublesome subnet, and even we see some issues with the path along the way. Now when I run the same trace route the second time, you can see some of the hops are acting well. Now you can see the office.com is looking good, but one of the hops is having an average RTT of 70 milliseconds. So this is where the transient issue is becoming a big problem, right? Because when Peter is trying to access Microsoft, at one instance he might be hitting this kind of latency, whereas at the next instance he's trying to access, he's not hitting much of latency or lower RTT. So he's able to access that without issue. So this really gives you that bird's eye view of all the hops, and that allows the IT admin to go and troubleshoot much, much easier. You also can get tabular results as shown over here. So you can go in and look at the hop, look at the location, and then dive deeper. And this is the two things that I've run. So here it's not only Microsoft, but we support an array of different SaaS applications. And if you have a private application, which is a web server, you can also add that over here as part of your testing. So again, this is specific test from a user to that application. It's not a generic test. So it really allows you to pinpoint what the user's problem is from a SaaS application access perspective. So with that out of the way, that covers the scenario 1, which covered slowness that Peter was having when he was trying to access Microsoft 365. So scenario 2 now covers Peter, where Peter is trying to access now a private application, which is a finance app. And Peter is having a lot of issues with slowness when he's trying to access this finance application. So let's look into a FortiSASE console and see from an IT admin standpoint if he's able to pinpoint where the slowness is. Now as I go back to my digital experience monitoring tab, it's pretty simple, it's pretty seamless. You would pretty much go into the SPA, which is Secure Private Access Application Monitoring. And I've already filtered for finance sample app, so I'm filtering for finance app, and here you can see Peter is accessing the finance sample app. He's going through the Ashburn, Virginia, USA POP, which is a SASE POP, and then he's also accessing it through our Secure Private Access Hub 3, which is a FortiGate at that data center. So for that connection between the POP to that data center, we are seeing an extremely high latency, which is 337.75 milliseconds. So that's a very high latency, and that is impacting Peter's experience when he's trying to access this private application, which is a finance app. So in a way, this is really critical because you are able to not only have an experience understanding about SaaS applications, but you can also extend that experience to understand how the private applications are behaving. And all of these applications can be configured through our settings over here. So this is where I've configured my finance, HR, Acme app, which will also translate to what Claudio will be showing as part of his BYOD demo. But these are the apps that are sanctioned applications as part of the private network. And then you can also see SLA failures in one place. So that's a really good one place for you to look at from a securing private access perspective. With that, then I'll go into SPA Hub monitoring. And this is where you can go even more deeper and understand which particular path. So you have multiple security POPs, you have multiple FortiGate hubs. Each one of those connections, you are able to see visually where the problem could be and what the SLA events are. So here you can see SLA failures, 13 of them happen between the POP to the SPA hub. Then you can also look at the service connection, which is each one of those IPsec tunnels. And then you can pinpoint where the problem is. And then you can go granular and then select a specific hub as well. So you can have a lot of customizations in terms of visibility that you get as an admin when you're using our DEM product or DEM feature as part of a FortiSASE solution. So that covers the scenario 2, which was slowness to private application. Now let me hop on into scenario 3. So scenario 3 is where Peter is trying to get his work done. He is working from home, he has his laptop on, but somehow he's having a very poor experience, meaning he's not able to access anything at some instance of time. He's having a lot of slowness when he's trying to access different things. So one of the things that we are able to find here is that can we go deeper and know what kind of characteristics Peter's device has? So for that, what the IT admin would do here is first he'll check for all the things. He'll check for a specific scenario where Peter is trying to access an app and see if that's a problem. If all of them look good, the last thing that they would do is go into Peter's endpoint. Now let's go into Peter's endpoint and see what's happening. So for that, I go into the endpoint. I go into Peter's endpoint here. Click on Digital Experience, which is a dedicated tab for that feature. And as you can see here, right now, as I speak, Peter is having a 100% spike of CPU usage. So Peter's CPU on his endpoint device is spiking tremendously, and that's causing a big problem, meaning it's causing slowness on his device, accessing anything, right? So this is a global problem for him because his device is acting extremely slow because of the CPU hike. So as an IT admin, what I would do is I would pretty much either RDP into his device or try to ask him for some more commands and see which processes are causing this CPU hike. And then I would also maybe kill some of the daemons which are causing that CPU hike. But on top of the CPU usage, we also have a way to look at the disk usage, which looks pretty consistent over time. We can also look at memory usage, which also looks pretty consistent over time. So we also have a way to see the trending averages of how everything is behaving. We also have a way to look at network metrics. So because of that CPU hike, right now, as Peter is trying to access anything using his laptop, he's seeing an increased TCP latency. So we also have a way to look at TCP latency and understand what experience Peter would have when he's using his laptop at that particular instance of time. And as you can see right now, as I'm doing this live demo, you can see the CPU has hiked extremely high. It's got the TCP latency is shooting through the roof here, right? As you can see, so it's extremely high. And because of this TCP latency, Peter is having a poor experience doing anything on his laptop. So we'll have to look at that deeper into why that's happening, but that would be the next level of troubleshooting. But now at least we know that the endpoint is a culprit here, not the network, not the SaaS application, nothing to do with our SASE POP. So everything looks clean from a network perspective. The only thing is this issue is pretty much fixed on Peter's endpoint device. With that, I would like to conclude this demo. Thank you so much for watching this.
Thanks, Ramnath. That was a great demo showing the power of them as parts of the unified SASE solution. We saw how real-time performance analytics turns user experience into competitive advantage. Thank you for your attention and enjoy the rest of the event.